Hey friends out there, Rob here. Today we're going to be talking about making a backing track using the multi-track recorder function of the Tascam Portacapture X8. Should be a lot of fun, so let's jump into it now. Guys, Rob here. Hope you're about ready to have some fun. I'm going to share with you how to do this. Lots of fun today. Let's talk about the gear. We're talking about the Tascam. Let me bring you in for a lot closer view. Tascam Portacapture X8, 6 inputs, 2 additional inputs, internal stereo and things like that. But really you have 6 inputs that you can use. This is a Portacapture X8, not a Porta Studio. That's very important. When Tascam created this, it did not have the type of more user-friendly overdub capabilities as it does right now. Many people were hoping that it was like a Porta Studio or something. Realistically, the Tascam Portacapture X8 is at first a live track, multi-track recorder in 32-bit float up to 192 kilohertz sample rate, which is excellent. I often don't use the 32-bit float unless I'm recording bands when I am not there. And maybe weddings if I'm not monitoring it. I might use 32-bit, but that's very few times out of all of it. And generally, we're not talking about that today. The debate about 32-bit is a thing, and I have opinions on it. In any event, let's jump back to why we're doing this, okay? I was asked recently about someone that purchased this based off of my review, and they said, hey, how could I use it? So this is for you. You know who you are. Thank you so much for watching, and if I believe you sub too. Anyways, thanks for your question. But it's a great question. How do you use this? So we're going to bring it back in. I want to share with you the gear that we're using. You have to know how the sound is getting to you that you're hearing now, because it's not coming directly from the Portacapture X8. There's a mic up here. You might see it. Yeah, you see it. That's the Ember. Blue Ember. I like this microphone a lot. It's a condenser microphone, small or medium diaphragm. I like it a lot. It's running directly into the Tascam Model 12. That's right here. You guys love the Model 12. I love the Model 12. If you don't, you should. It is sending that signal out to my live stream right here, out to Yolo Box, which means that I'm now capturing all of that sound and audio from the Tascam from my voice. However, all the music you hear is being sent to the Tascam Portacapture X8. Everything I'm going to use through it is going to be routing into the Tascam and sent out to Yolo Box. Here's the difference. I've got all that brought down in levels by about 20 decibels because I just want it to be in the background. So you're not going to hear a full representation of the capture the Portacapture is doing, because that's not the point of this video. I just have it up enough for you to hear. Okay, now that you know that, there's another tricky, quirky thing. If you ever are in the situation and you're using your line out, let me show you right over here. It's this little dot right over here, in and out on this side of the camera. You can't see it, but it's right there. If you ever use that, when you go to playback, playback does not play back through the line out. So I'm actually using the headphone jack so that you can hear the playback for the multi-track recording part of what we're doing. We're going to get into this interface in just a moment, but before we do, we got to talk about the Spark Live, which is the guitar interface and my amp that I'm using for the guitar parts, and the Beat Buddy that I will be using for the drums. Okay, now guitar is going into input 3, Beat Buddy is going into input 5. Now that we know that, we'll talk a little bit more and come through a little bit closer. So let's have a nicer look. Let me get you zoomed in just a little bit so you can see. Okay, so we've got the Portacapture right here, and you can see everything that we've got going on. Let's talk about the inputs real quick. And I guess if we were to do that, it might be better to... These inputs up here, these mic capsules, they come off, okay? You can take them off, and you can use them for whatever you like, okay? Because they're an 1/8" stereo jack, right? You can actually plug in additional microphones up here. Now, sometimes people ask, like what? Well, let me show you. Let's say you had a wireless microphone system like this, okay? And you wanted to record a couple of additional inputs. This is the Hollyland Lark Max. So this receiver connects with 2 transmitters. So it has a stereo jack, mini jack out. So in this instance, I would simply put it back there. There's a clip that allows you to clip this to it. It's upside down actually. And I could clip this directly to the back like you see here, and now run that out to the end. And now I'm using an additional device than what the Portacapture X8 came with. Now, I like these microphones a lot, and for vocals, I think they're great. Sound effects, I think they're great. They're plastic, but 14.5mm diaphragms. I was originally very critical of them when they came out. I like them quite a bit. The reason I show you this is because I want you to see that you've actually got 6 real tracks that you can use. So it's not like the microphone capsules are fixed and you have to use the microphone capsules. Heck, you don't even have to use them in stereo mode, or like this. You could use them in stereo, or you can use them in XY or AB configuration, and I'll put them on here like that. They're interchangeable, and that's the way they're designed to be used. So I like these quite a bit. Let me make sure you're still up there pretty good. Okay, so now you see that, so you know that we've got those 2, and that's important for you to know. Let's go back. We've got 1, 2, which is our left and right, 3, 4, which is on the left side. These are XLR or combo jack inputs. See, that's why I didn't want to do that now. I got to wait for my focus to get back. Let's focus you up again. Those are combo jack inputs. And then we've also got 5 and 6 on the right-hand side. So really quite helpful there. Like that quite a bit. Now that we know that, we've got 3, of course, like I said, is the guitar running in from the Positive Grid Spark Live, and we've got our track right here coming in from the Beat Buddy Mini. Let's talk about these tracks. Everything that you're looking at right now on the home screen is recording as you would expect, as you would think right now. So when you make a recording, it always skips to the next one. There is no overdub mode that you are natively in. You have to go into an overdub mode, and we'll get into that in a minute, and that is to protect your recordings. All right. Now, I brought you in a little bit closer as we get the walk around for this whole thing. When you look, we've got 3 different sections. The home screen is where you do all of your work for live recording. And it will show you any track from your previous recording, and you can skip backwards and forwards in your tracks that you have already recorded. If you press record right now, nothing needs to be armed. The tracks that we would arm are already armed here on the input section. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but it would immediately begin recording. And you can either press once to stop or double press the stop button to stop as well. Let me show you where that stop button is. And that stop button is right there. So you press record here and then double click to stop right there, or just one press to stop depending. Okay, as we continue to walk around, let's now look at the input section. You arm and disarm tracks at the input section. So tracks 3, 4, 5 are not input right now, and now they're turned on. When they turn on, when they're armed, they turn red. That means they're going to record. They will turn another color in the overdub section, but we're not there yet. We can get into these. I'll do this by going through the stereo mic. We'll start off on the stereo mic side. And when you arm the track, notice the mic is grayed out, but also the mic indicator is grayed. When you arm the track and the mic turns red, the indicator turns a brighter gray. I don't know. When we go into that, you can see right here that we're now looking at our levels. From top to bottom and from left to right, they are as follows. Stereo link. Mic channel, track 1 and 2, can be linked by stereo. Same can 3, 4, and 5 and 6. You can't link 4 and 5 or 6 and 2. They can only link in the pairs. The pairs correspond to the sides that they're on. As we go on down, we have auto gain. I don't use auto gain. We'll get to the gain section in a moment. We've got a low cut filter right here, so we can choose all the way up to 220 hertz. A noise gate, I like low, but it goes up to medium and high, and just think of them as soft gate, medium gate, and aggressive gate. Okay. We've got a limiter or compressor. Usually for vocals, I like a compressor. Then we've got an EQ section. The EQ section can be off, voice for spoken, guitar for guitar, loud for concert, or drums, vocal for singing, and manual. Manual is a 4-band parametric EQ. I guess it's semi-parametric. We don't have all the bands, but we got low, low mid, mid high, and high, which is real nice. And a solo mode. We also have our cue widths for the mids, which is nice. When we come over here to phase invert, we can do that for the left or the right channel, depending on which one we need, and we can save any of the settings that we have right here as a preset. Moving over to the right side, we actually have our gain. Gain for these mic capsules are from 0 dB to 35 when we are over here on the low side, and from 14 all the way up to 50 on the high side. And you'll even have heard some of that come in now. We can also see our levels there. Let's bring that back down. We don't really care. And we're going to go back, and I'm turning the mic off. Now that you know, we do that for each of the channels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's move over to the mixer section. Now that we're in the mixer section, we can see we have what looks like a traditional mixer. This is where we will do all of our mixing and panning, fading up and down, left and right. And you can see there are, in this particular song or track that I recorded, we know that this has been pre-recorded because it's always the track that shows up. You don't get a blank track. You get a blank track by pressing record. That's how you get a blank track. So from here, we've got tracks 3, 4, and 5 recorded. We're not going to go and worry about those, but this is the mixing section for those tracks. So we go back to home. We're ready to record something. This is where things differ. Generally speaking, on a multi-track recorder or whatever, you would start a new project or import a new song or something. And you can do that by going to folders, such as right here. So now we're in a folder. We've come up here. What I did was pressed the menu button at the top left of the screen, and we can browse, but from the very beginning, you could go and open your own folder, create a new song within a folder, move songs around the folder from the folders menu, but it's easier really to just come over here to manual from the launcher, and then arm the tracks that you want to arm. Now right now, I don't have a track 4 plugged in, right? So we'll disarm it, okay? But let's come over here to input. The first thing I'd want to do, we're already on input, I'm silly. I would want to come over to track 5, and I would want to make sure that track 5's gain is set properly. So track 5 is the Beat Buddy, and here we go. The Beat Buddy has many different ways for me to set the levels, okay? And one of them is the knob on Beat Buddy. Notice how it goes red, you're over limit. Okay. Right now I'm in a 44-bit, 44K, 24-bit mode. None of that really matters so much. Anyways, what you want to do is you want to set the levels so that you're not really going out of the green too much. This is too high. This is about right for most settings. Okay. If we wanted to dial down and set some additional things, we could come over here and change the gain on the device. Notice how changing the gain on the Portacapture X8 also affects the gain level, the signal input. So just find one that's nice, and we're pretty good right about here. Okay, so I've stopped that. Next thing to do is get the guitar. Oops, I hit the microphone. There's always something when you're working around like this, so sorry about that. I'll try to take that out for you in editing. Guitar's coming in over here on track 3, and my regular strumming that I'm going to be doing is right around -12, -9 with some peaks in -7. I'm seeing that on the device, so I'm good to go. I can also come over here and choose to load a preset like a guitar, and I can limit or compress it. We'll do a compressor. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to talk about. There's an instance that you may want to bring in your own backing track that's already created, and you can do that. But there's no track import function on the Tascam Portacapture X8, or at least not a traditional one like you would expect. So if you had your own track that was already pre-mixed and you wanted it in here to play along with it, you would have to play it in real time, which is very similar to what you would do on a tape track machine, like the 244 or the 424, the old Tascam, or the Yamaha MX8, stuff like that. If you've got a Model 12, Model 16, Model 24, you can just import tracks straight from your computer. But I just wanted to let you know, you can't import a track here. So it's not like you can load a file and then import it into a channel that you can then adjust. You have to play it into that channel to adjust it. Also, there's something else a little funky if you ask me. I don't necessarily care for, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. I don't necessarily care for exactly how we arm and disarm these. You'll see why. Sometimes I suggest, and most of the time, I just arm all the tracks I want to use for the recording ahead of time. You can arm them later in the overdub mode. I just find it's a visual reminder that I'm actually working with those tracks. I know it may not work for you, but that's something that I do. Okay, so it's time to record something. And I'm going to show you that trick that I just talked about. Notice I've got my third track guitar armed, so it's already armed. And my fourth track is not armed. That's where I'm going to put my solo I do later. But these don't have to be armed. I just would normally arm both of them. Doing it this way is going to allow me to show you what happens if you forget to arm a track, as opposed to what happens if you do arm a track. So if we arm track 3 for recording, there is no input that will be recorded, right? I could even turn the amp off, right? And there would be no input. So it's just recording a blank track. Okay, how does it work? Well, it works like this. We go back to home. This is where you do all of your work. And then we just press record. Now, as I press record, I'm going to let it go a couple of seconds. You always want a few seconds on the beginning and a few seconds on the end of your recording. That way you can jump in and jump out easier in the overdub mode. And then you'll see what I'm doing here. You'll also hear me counting. So I'm about to press record. It won't pick up anything, so I'm going to press record. It's now recording. Everything's turned red. And in just a moment, I'm going to wait till 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, and hold 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. This is the chorus. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our outro coming up. 3, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Okay, so we've recorded that, right? Easy peasy. Press stop after letting it go for a few seconds. That way, if you have any additional things you need, you can add them there. Okay, so you might say, how do you record the next part of your tracks? And that's the difficult part. You can't do it from this screen. You have to work in the overdub screen. But that makes a lot of sense. Let's think this is for a sound capture, a field recordist. This is for someone that's trying to, it's for, really, you could do it for anybody, but the reality is you're not in a studio live section mixing, so they don't expect you to try to begin overdubbing right now. And they want to make it very clear that you don't go into overdub mode without knowing you're in overdub mode, because then you may be missing recordings or recording over something else. This is, at first and foremost, a live audio capture device. So how do you get to overdub mode? You press the menu button up here, and then you go into overdub, punch in and out. Okay, now I want you to look at the screen. Notice down at the bottom of the screen, we've got those tracks that we recorded. Track number 5, which was the Beat Buddy, and track number 3 are now highlighted in green. We know we're in overdub mode because it says that we're in overdub mode. We can see the length of our song, how much recording time we have left, all that stuff. We've got a left and right master balance right there. The normal thing, we are at the home screen. This is where we do our work, but we can't work right now because if we pressed record, what would it record? It can't record anything because there are no armed tracks. So in order to record, we can't even hear the guitar or Beat Buddy because the tracks aren't armed. Again, we need to arm the tracks. So in this instance, I need to arm track 3. You hear it now. Track 3 is the guitar. There you go. Okay, so now that track 3 is armed, we go back to the home screen. And in the home screen, trying not to hit my guitar again, we're going to go ahead and lay this track down. We got an 8-bar verse and an 8-bar chorus and a 4-bar outro. If we needed to, we could adjust all the same settings we did earlier in the input panel. But we've already done that, so we're set up for success. Go back to the home screen, press stop, and when we press record, it will begin to overdub on track 3. And I'll begin when it begins, around 5 seconds. There's the first 4. This is, of course, the chorus. Okay, so you heard track 3. If we don't disarm track 3, it will record again the next time we try to play guitar. And the next time we try to play guitar, it's going to be over here in track number 4. So we need to move it. So if we kept it armed, even though we moved our input, the entire thing would be re-recorded because there'd be no signal coming in. So we need to come over to our input, disarm track 3, and arm track 4. This is easy. I prefer to have them all armed when I record originally, so that by the time we get here, all the tracks I'm going to use are green, and I don't have to think about anything. But it's just a workflow thing. That's just a pro tip from me. So we come over here once again into the levels to make sure our levels for this track are good. We can't hear anything. Do you know why? Because we have to move the input. Good. Now we've got our input. I want this one to be a little higher, a little hotter. Yeah, it's a little bit hotter. Okay, I need this one hotter because I'm going to be playing the solo, so I'm not going to be playing as many chords, so I'm not going to be strumming it. I'm going to be, well, plucking each note. You'll see, finger style a little bit, and that needs a little extra boost. So we do the same thing. Go back to home. We see track 4 is armed, and now we press record. Let's make sure I'm in the right spot for what I want to do. I always hate being in this chair when I do the solo. There are effects that you can use in the Tascam Portacapture X8, which are good. I'm using effects through the Positive Grid Spark. And I did not have any effects on the drum track. Okay, we press record. In overdub mode, it'll begin around 5 seconds once again. Okay, that was it. Now, what do? We immediately disarm the overdub. We have to go to input and disarm it. Now we don't have to worry. If we had anything else we wanted to do, we could still add 3 more tracks. 1, 2, 3. We've got a left track on the mic input, track 1, a right track on the mic input 2 and a mic input or any input we want on track 6. So let's move over to the mixer. Here I actually have some panning that it remembers from a previous previous session, which is fine. But I want you to see this. So we're just going to play. I want the guitar to be a little bit, I want the lead guitar and the drums to be stronger, brighter than the rhythm. And I want to show you panning. Now you won't hear the panning because I'm just sending you a mono mix, but you can totally pan everything that you need. So let's go ahead and play. We've done a good job keeping our levels low. We're not really peaking above 12, which is good for import, but I want to get that rhythm down. Too much percussion. I'm going to stop, return, and play again. Yeah, I like that. And we'll stop there. Okay, now that everything is done, it's all panned the way that we want, we exit. Come back to the home. Once we're at home, we can exit. Yes. Now we've got a brand new track. Remember, earlier we only had tracks 3 and track 5, but what happens if we play it now? Notice 3, 4, and 5 are all there, and in the mixer section, all of our saved presets are there. Everything we did in the mixing section is now there, which is great. We could adjust this here, but we're good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. Return to home, back to manual, press this menu button. I like it. It's ready to import to whatever pedal or wherever you want to use it, or to your DAW to do some finalizing. Do the mix down. This is going to give you a 2-track mix down. You don't have to do the 2-track mix down. If you like it the way it is, you can do the 2-track mix down, or you can just import however many tracks that you have into your desktop audio workstation, or however else you'd like to do it. Once it's done, it takes a few moments for that mix down to take place. It creates a mix that you can then use or share immediately. That's the important part of the mix down. So if you like it and you just want a 2-track mix to give to someone, you do the mix down here. If you want to edit it more, you do it over in the home menu on your desktop. All in all, if you ask me, Rob, is this a good device? Yeah, I really like it, right? I like this a lot. It has a task and purpose that makes sense. It is first and foremost a portable capture device. However, having the multi-track feature with overdubs and punch-in, we didn't talk about punch-in, but you can totally punch in to your work, which means to overdub on top of a specific part if you want to. And maybe I'll make a video about that some other time. But that's kind of like a bonus, right? That's kind of like you're getting something extra. And you are, because when Tascam created this originally, it didn't have as in-depth of a feature set. All in all, I like it quite a bit. I hope you do too. So I'm Rob. Today we've been talking about the Tascam Portacapture X8 and how to use it as a multi-track recorder to create backing tracks for your next live session. Hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.